Okay, we're gonna decorate our planter today. So hopefully you pulled up that folder of Southwest patterns and Aztec Navajo blankets and things like that for you to look at. It really is gonna depend on your planter how you wanna start. But I do want you to think about grabbing a ruler. Sorry, you can't see mine. Just in case you need to do some really straight edges and sharp corners. But the thing you wanna think about when you go to draw your pattern is splitting it up into sections. So I'm actually gonna stripe the rest of my pot. I'm gonna leave the rim the way it is. And the way when you stripe anything that's round, so all of the planters I gave you were round, then the stripes also need to be rounded. So we're gonna continue to follow the concept of that parallel curve, and we're gonna make sure that the stripes that I set up on the pot are also that just gentle curve. And obviously my plant on my left side gets in the way, but that's okay. Parallel curve around, okay? So I could even take this further and I could split it into another layer, following the curves all the way around, like so. And the reason why I'm doing this and sort of sketching it in is these lines will help you set up the rest of your patterning depending on what you choose to do, okay? So there's so many great options to look at and things to kind of be inspired by. And I'm gonna go ahead and kind of use, I think this is about my center, and I'm gonna use just basic triangles to kind of help me set up my first kind of center point of my pattern. And I'm sort of looking at designs, but I'm also like just kind of letting it come from how I draw it. So I'm going to draw these sort of arrow shapes on the outside, but I want you to come up with your own. Think sort of like Zentangles, but more straight edges and very geometric the whole time. So I've kind of come up with that pattern, and so I can kind of grow from there. So I don't necessarily keep all of the lines. The lines are almost like a mathematical grid that are going to help me kind of grow the design that I put on my pot. So how you decide to kind of grow and change your pattern as you go is completely up to you. But I think I'm going to I'll do rows of like these diamonds up here then. Oh, but I should probably use my line a little better. Go all the way up to the line, and that way I know that they're the same when I draw them across. So I'm using that curve and making my design continue to go on both sides, sort of symmetrical around my pot. And then making sure that I, think about where my design would keep going and what I would see behind my, my pots there, okay? All right, so I'm going to continue to kind of develop my patterning as I go. I'm going to make the diamonds kind of fit inside each other over here. So I'm sort of being inspired by the shapes that kind of come beforehand. Maybe add another diamond inside of this one. And then I need to kind of look at, well, where do I want to go from here? I should probably make it symmetrical and come down here. So sort of being inspired by that center and working off of there. So I'm going to kind of make that same sort of arrow shape on the top and bottom. Again, these lines that I originally drew aren't really a part of my design, but they're helping me draw my design, like a grid on, graph paper for math class, things like that. So I'm going to erase out where I don't need them. But it doesn't mean that I can't eventually use them when I go to color and add detail later on. So this is my edge of my pot. And I might need to decide, like, is my edge of my pot going to stay simple and plain, or is it going to have some detail like this? Now, I will say you don't want to go overly detailed in our pot, because then it will, then it will fight with our cactuses a little bit more. So I'm trying to think, like, what else do I need in here? What do I want to do with it? I think I'm about done, but I might think about either adding stripe detail or something else along the edge. I'm kind of torn here. I kind of want to look at some more patterns and examples and be inspired from them. But maybe I do an actual line detail here. And here, and let those kind of go around. Oh, I kind of like that. And then I could maybe add one more thing kind of going towards the bottom. So maybe my design gets a little bigger and bolder at the bottom down here. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, I feel like I'm pretty pleased with my pattern. I'm gonna add 2 more triangles on the sides. And then I could go ahead and erase out any of the leftover lines that I don't plan on using. But again, they can be incorporated in your design. They just kind of help map it out. Okay, so I like my pattern that I've chosen for my pot. I am going to leave the rim plain. I think it'll be better served that way. Otherwise, it'll get too busy and fight with my succulents and cactuses that are up here. So I can't wait to see what your planter looks like. And guess what, guys? We are ready to roll. We're going to be ready to Sharpie and then paint. The most exciting part, the most fun part for most people. Have a good one.